Hi, my name's Scott with Sierra RV. I'm here to show you how to maintain and work your North Trail RV. If you have any questions, you can go to our website and check it out there, or you can call us and get any answers that way. Okay, we'll start on the outside first, then we'll go around the outside, then we'll go inside. But you have two cranks here. This crank here is for your electric stabilizers. If they fail electrically, you can crank it manually, which is right in this area right here is where you'd crank it manually. That's the only crank that'll fit on it, okay? And there is a light switch inside here for your storage bin. You just push the little nipple right there to turn it on. This is where your electric controls are for your stabilizers, okay? Extend and retract right there. They are called stabilizers. They're not to lift the trailer with. You get it as level as you can to start with, and then you run the stabilizers down just to stabilize it, okay? Front one's the upper one, the rear one is the same as the front one. You just push the button until they contact the ground, put a little pressure on them, and you're good to go. Okay. This other crank, which is right here, is for your power hoist. If it fails electrically, you can crank it manually as well, and I'll show you where that is. You take this cap off right here, put the crank in, then you can crank it manually. Okay, this does have a little light. It's hard to see in the day, but at night I'd leave mine on, and then I don't walk around and run into that kind of a night light. It helps you, keep you from, of course your knee's going to hit it if you don't. Okay, up and down control right here. So the trick to leveling your trailer is to level it sideways. It's easy to run the front up and down to get it level front to back with this. Okay. Your propane tank, I don't know which control you have on your propane tank, but there is a handle that points to whichever tank. We would turn this one on because the handle is pointing to that tank. Once that's empty, turn it off, turn the handle to the other tank and open it as well. Okay. And typically there's a little bungee on the bottom that helps hold this cover on. They're pretty solid, but I don't think that bungee really helps that much, but it's there. So when you go to take it off, you'll remember the bungee when it won't come off. Okay. Your batteries, check the water level in them. If they're low, put distilled water in them. If you're able to plug in at your garage at home, I leave my trailer plugged in the winter. Of course, if you're in California, you probably don't have to worry about that. But check the water level. If they're low, put distilled water in them. Okay. This is just the other side of your storage bin. There is a light in here as well. And this switch here turns on this, what they call docking lights. These little blue lights up here on the front. Okay. And don't drive with those on. The highway patrol would get a little upset if they seen some blue lights coming down the highway. Okay. Okay. Those are called slam latches. You just let them slam. They seem to shut better when they just let them slam. Okay. This is the motor. Is on this side for your stabilizers, front and back. Okay. Okay. We torque all the lugs to 110 pounds. We check the air pressures. It's always wise to check those lugs occasionally. Make sure they're good and tight to 110 pounds if you have a wrench. Okay. Okay. Back of the, we typically don't get into the back of the fridge. There's really nothing in there we can show you anyway. Okay. Your water heater is here. Okay. It's self-igniting on gas and electric. This plug here is what goes back in there when you put water in the system. When you drain it, that's the plug you take out to drain the water out of the water heater. Pressure relief valve. When it's on, heat creates pressure, and that's why they call it a pressure relief valve, and you may see water drip out of that occasionally when it's on. If there's a stream of water coming out of it, then you're going to have to replace that valve. Okay. Refer to your manual on the water heater function if you have questions. Okay. Outside shower right here. Hot and cold water, you can pull that out. It extends out 3 or 4 feet, so you can shower outside if you like. Okay, your gray and your black tank drains are down here. They're labeled gray tank, waste holding tank. Okay, the waste holding tank is the sewage. You always drain it first, then let gravity take it out, and then open the gray tank afterwards, and that helps flush your hose out. Keeps your hose cleaner that way. Okay. Okay. City water connection. When you hook the city water at a campground, you want to have a regulator which protects the pressure going into the trailer. If the pressure's too high and it blows the line in the trailer, you'll wish you had the regulator on there. Okay. If you're at a campground, you can hook into the cable system. This is where you'd plug in right here. Okay. This is your shore cord, which supplies power if you're plugged in at a campground or at your home as well. Okay. If you want to plug in at your home, you need an adapter that adapts that end to a regular home outlet. I'll show you the end of that. You need an adapter that adapts this down to a regular 110 outlet. Okay. Your sewer hose will store inside the bumper there. You just pull this cap off, slide the hose in there. Okay. These caps have a tendency to come off. I tell customers to drill a hole right through here and put a screw in there, and that helps hold that on, keeps it from falling off. You'll see them on the highway. Of course, you can never stop to pick them up because you're going 70 miles an hour. Okay. When you lower this, beware, it's fairly heavy. So just beware that when you bring it down, it's fairly heavy. Okay. This attachment here is called a Santa flush. After you drained your black tank, you hook a hose to this, and it spins inside the black tank, helps flush that black tank out, keep it cleaner. Okay. There is a bar that goes with this. It attaches right here. So if you have this down, you can put the bar on there, and then you can tie things to that bar, like bikes or whatever. Okay. Spare tire, always check the air in your spare. It's like the rest of your tires. If you don't have air in your spare and you have a blowout, you're going to wish you had air in your spare. Okay. Very important. Okay. Okay. You have an LP hook up here. It's right under here. So if you get a Camp Chef or whatever for your trailer, or you buy the stove that hooks onto that attachment, you can plug in right here and run it off your propane tank. And you don't have to carry extra propane tanks. Okay. If you're plugged into power, you have outlets out here as well. Okay. This is the exhaust for your furnace. When it's on, it's hot. So if you have any little children around, they need to know that that's hot. Of course, they'll probably touch it to find out anyway. This is the exhaust for your fan, which is above your stove. Okay, lets the air come out there. Okay. This is where you fill your tank if you're dry camping. You just take that off, put a hose in there till the water comes out and you're full. Put the cap back on. The drain for this tank typically is right under here, if we can find it. I don't see it there yet. Probably over this way. It's right here. Right there. That's the drain for your water storage tank. And let's see where the low point drains are. I'll have to locate those as well. And sometimes they're hard to find, the low point drains. Okay. When you move this handle, make sure you lift it to store it. I tell customers if you store it back this way, there is a space here, it won't rub on it. If you store it this way, it could rub on the door and you may get black marks. Just make sure you lift it when you move it. Okay. Okay. We'll go inside. When you raise and lower these steps, make sure this door is all the way open. If not, these brackets will hit on the side of the door and damage the door. Okay? We'll go on inside now. I'll take my shades off so I can see. Okay. Okay. awning and slide controls are right here. In and out's pretty self. Push the out button, run the awning out. Slides are already out. Never leave your trailer and go for a ride in your truck and leave your awning out. The awnings turn into kites really fast. So when that little flap drops, it's about a 1 foot long flap. When that flap drops is basically where you want to stop. Okay. You have lights here, your main lights when you first come in, you turn on there. This light is the little amber light on the outside. This light is the LED light along the edge there. Okay. And you turn both those off for now. Okay. Your TV, stereo, we don't have the remotes for those right now for this particular trailer, but your TV, you should have a remote for it, and same for your stereo. Got a light here. This little button right here, I don't know if you can see it or not in the video, but this little button is called a power boost for your antenna. A little black button right there. There should be a red light on when it's on. If you're plugged in at a campground, you don't need this on. This is for antenna only. If you hook to the cable system, you can turn that off because it's for antenna only. Okay. Your stove. This, for traveling purposes, of course, you want that down. You can turn this light on. You put it on ignite, hit the sparker to light it. They all light with that same sparker. And you can light the oven pilot as well with that. You put it on pilot, hit the sparker. You have to look up under there to see it. It's way back in there in order to see the pilot. But when you leave your trailer, if you've used the oven, turn the pilot light off so you're not, if it goes out, you'd have fuel coming into the trailer. Okay. Microwaves, air conditioners, TVs, electric water heater, you have to be plugged into power or have generators large enough to run those items. Okay. Of course, we want this down to travel. This is where you turn the fan on for the fan above this oven, light right here. Turn them off there. Okay. Your fridge, turn it on auto. It automatically goes to electric. When you unplug from electric, it will automatically go to propane. If this little light right here comes on and says check, that's telling you that it did not light on propane. In that case, double check, make sure you turn the propane on. If you didn't turn it on, light the stove, it gets the air out of the system the fastest, then turn it off and back on. It should ignite on propane. If you do that 3 or 4 times and it still does not light, then you have problems other than propane, you know, okay? The temperature control for the fridge is this little white thing right here on the baffle. If you slide that up and down, maybe you can see it says warmer and colder. Okay, if you slide that up, it gets colder. If it's down, it gets warmer. I don't know exactly how it works. I just know that it does work. Yeah, that thing right there. Okay. This Dometic control, this controls your air conditioner, your fan, and your furnace. You turn it on right there. It's hard to read, but it says off. Turn it on. And you want it on, it says high, you can go high, low, or auto. You want to run it in the auto mode. If it's not in auto and you want to run the air conditioner or the furnace, both the fans may come on. So if you hear them both come on, just go back in here to auto and change it back, okay? And then you can go to furnace or to air once you can get it. There's the air conditioner and that's the furnace, okay? And then you control the temperature control on this side. If you push them both at once, then you go to centigrade, which most people don't really care about centigrade. So we'll turn it off now. This is your propane detector down there. It's hardwired into the battery. It's on all the time. and it will get your attention if you have a leak in your propane. Carbon monoxide smoke detectors typically are up high, and they have the little 9-volt batteries in them. That one right there. Okay. All your air conditioner ducts are up here, and your furnace vents will be down low on the floor or out on the side. Okay. Central vac. This is where you turn the central vac on. In order to change you pull that off, and there's your bag to change. That's how you pull that off. And that just snaps back in if I can get the bag out of the way. Like that. Okay. And the attachments, hopefully the attachments are under the bed. That's typically where we put them. We'll look and see. And you have plenty of storage under here, and there's your bar that goes on that back ramp, and there's your attachments for your central vac. Okay. And these lights here, while we're here, you just push the nipple to turn them on, both sides. Okay. There is another place you can mount a TV over here if you want a TV in here. Turn that on. And you put the bracket right where it says TV bracket location, plug it in there, hook it up there, okay? This emergency exit can be used like a vent. If you push it out, you can just let it sit like that, and then you can get a cross breeze if you open the window on the other side as well. Fuses and breakers are in here. There is little LED lights on the side. It's hard to see now, but if one comes on, you can see them through this panel right here. Okay. Looks like these are off. Make sure they're all on. Okay, they're all on. Okay. In the bathroom, you do have a fan. Open the vent, turn the fan on here. Okay, close. You always want to make sure this is on when you travel. Keeps the doors from sliding open. Okay. And that keeps it from flying open while you're traveling. Light switch is right here. This is where you check your levels on your tanks and everything. Your battery level shows fully charged. Fresh tank is empty. Black tank is empty. Gray tank is empty. Your water pump control is right here. If you're pumping out of your tank, this is where you get your pressure from. If you're hooked to city water, that's where you get your pressure from. You have electric water heater and LP water heater. If you're at a campground, typically you can run the electric because you're paying for electric anyway to save your propane. You can run them both at the same time if you like. Okay. The toilet it has like a two-step. When you first, if there's pressure in the system, you first turn it on, the water comes in, and then you drop the waste after that. Okay. And you do have a GFI over here in the bathroom. Okay. Nice storage cabinets. Okay. Make sure the lights are out. When you run your awning in, just make sure you hit the in position. If you hit the out position, it will roll up, but it'll roll up backwards. Then it's a water trap. Okay, so just make sure you hit the in switch. Okay, tie it down or anything. Okay, your slide room, same thing. It will not go out any farther than it's made to, but hit the in switch. I've actually broke more things running slides out than I have in because on some units there might be a cabinet door that's open behind the slide and you can't see it until you hear the crunching noise, and then it's too late. But when you run it in, just make sure there's nothing that's going to restrict it on the floor that could harm it. Okay. When it's all the way in, it stops automatic. Okay. turn these lights. I think we got it covered, but if you have any other questions, just call and ask to talk to a technician. If you can't get it answered through your manuals, talk to a technician. They can answer a lot of your questions on the phone and help you that way. When you put your door up or your steps up, make sure the door is all the way open, otherwise it can hit with these brackets. And then when it gets up there, pull the little handle, let it shut, and it's secured that way, and it rides fine just like that. At that point, you can shut the door, lift the handle, store it back so it doesn't make a mark on there. Now we still needed to locate those low point drains. It is pre-wired for a backup camera right there if you want to get a backup system. Okay. I missed the low point drain label is right there. They're up under there. It's part of, it's hard to see them unless you actually get down on your knees and look up under there. But that's part of your winterization process. Okay. So when you're ready to leave, you want to turn your power off. Roll your cord up. We call this the shore cord. And we'll store it in your storage bin. It can only go in one way. It's pretty obvious when you get ready to plug it in, it'll only go in one way. Okay. Typically we store it on the side of the driver because that's where you get out first. And it stores right in here. Okay. One thing I did miss is this. You can get a solar panel which plugs in right here. Okay. If you want to get one that just sits on the ground. Most people prefer to have it mounted solid on top. That way they don't have to mess with it. Okay. At this point, you'd shut your propane off, hook your truck up, and away you go. Okay.